So, of course, today is the second day officially for this week that the markets will be trading. But ahead of the presentation of the president, the 2017 budget by the president to the National Assembly, let's talk to Wale Olusi, who is an investment analyst with AfriInvest, and get his thoughts on how the market is shaping up, and of course, what the expectation is with regards the 2017 budget. Will it inflate the markets and, of course, boost investors' confidence? Wale, good morning to you.
Morning, Harry.
So we've got a lot of stories to chew on, but the biggest story right now is the budget. But let's take a look at the 2016 budget, for instance, and it's still got about 5 months to complete implementation. Talk to us. Do you think the markets benefited from the 2016 budget?
Well, on the 2016 budget, I think the markets are largely been driven by other factors in the economy rather than the implementation of the budget itself. If you look at the trajectory of the Ocean Index, for example, in 2016, news flows about the reforms in the downstream oil and gas sector that the Minister of State announced earlier in the year, as well as the initial proposal to float the Naira, where more or less the large drivers of the swing that we saw between May and July earlier in the year. But if you look at what has happened for the rest of the year, you will notice that even when the budget was passed and implementation started, we didn't really see a lot of activity coming in from the performance of that budget. And this is not surprising if you look at how the development in the economy panned out throughout the year. The GDP figures have contracted for 3 straight quarters, and inflation rate has continued up, and the exchange rate issue remains here. So it doesn't really matter what the budget officials are doing or whether they're implementing it or not. The crisis in the Niger Delta continues, and investors see that as a bad signal for the revenue capacity of the government. And we also have had a long year, month where the oil prices were trading well below $50 per barrel. So, I mean, for 2016 budget, I think the market has not really benefited from so much from that. If you look at the performance of the Ocean Index, yesterday is down 9%. Yield in the fixed income market are way up, largely driven by pressure in the economy. Risk premiums are high. Inflation is excess of 18%. So I don't think. Okay, maybe the debt market has really benefited from the budget because the government has continued to borrow throughout the year because domestic debt has really improved due to the fact that government needs to borrow a lot to finance the budget because, like I mentioned earlier, revenue has been really depressed so far in the year, looking at everything that has happened so far in the year.
Well, Wale, this is a breaking news story we just got that the budget is to be presented by 2 p.m. or maybe tomorrow. They're not so sure yet, so we're trying to clarify that. But it seems that the 2017 budget will not be presented by noon as earlier stated, and no reason has been given for the change. But taking a look at the budget proposal, the 2017 budget proposal, and the benchmark for oil price, of course, is $42.50. We have an estimated deficit of 2.4 trillion naira as against 2.2 trillion naira for 2016, as well as the exchange rate of between 290 and 305 naira to the dollar. Do you think that the 2017 budget will stimulate the markets?
Okay, again, 2017 budget is another thing to that raised a number of questions. I mean, you mentioned just now. Let's start with exchange rates. The assumption there is about 290 versus what we have at the moment. If you look at the spot rate quoted by CBN, it's in excess of 300. Production barrels per day is pegged at 2.2 million per barrel per day. But I think Nigeria is doing something around 1.9 at the moment. I think we had all of this issue last year, and in terms of oil price, we were able to do better than we assume in terms of what the market eventually settled for. So, but I think there are a lot of questions that investors will still be worried about despite what the assumptions are. What is this budget going to do to address the crisis in the Niger Delta in terms of stabilizing that area? I think I read something about the fact that they will continue amnesty program and they try to increase that spending. Now, if that is going to work, it might signal some, resolutions to the problem that has been brewing in that space. What about non-oil revenue? Are we going to be able to really finance this budget? I mean, it's a 7 trillion budget versus 6 trillion in the previous year. Do we really have the funds to finance? And where is the borrowing going to come from? Domestic versus foreign debt. Now, if you are going to be looking at foreign debt, what are you doing about your exchange rate issue? An environment where we have multiple exchange rates and investors cannot put their fingers exactly on which one the effective rate that they can come in at is a problem that would give the debt market, international debt market concern for Nigeria that wants to finance its budget with some external borrowing. So these are some of the issues that we think the budget or the fiscal authorities will have to address. So until all of these things are clarified, we don't see the market adjusting northward. For us, what we've seen so far based on all that has happened in 2016 and the outlook for 2017 is suggestive that except we try to close the gap in the between the parallel market or what you call black market and the official rate. I mean, it doesn't matter what the CBN does, but that gap has to be closed up. We want to see what is happening to oil production in terms of the crisis in the Niger Delta. And want to see some more, action, decisive action coming in from the fiscal authority in terms of reflecting the economy. Are we going to give tax incentive, or what are the other? Yes, we read about the 10-point agenda, but we want to see this implemented when the year starts fully in 2017, before we can know whether these are really serious moves or they're just some 10-point agendas that have been written again just to, douse fear in the market. But I think the market wants to see action rather than plans, right? And I would think this budget should be sought in such a way that it has to be passed on time and implemented on time, because one of the challenges that the current 2016 budget had was the fact that it wasn't passed on time. There was a lot of back and forth about padding or no padding until it was passed around mid-year 2016. So these are some of the issues that we need to resolve. It's not only about a big budget, but the fact that it has to be executed and the target has to be achieved.
Wale Olusi, investment analyst with AfriInvest, thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning and, of course, sharing your perspectives. Top story at this time is the 2017 budget, and we've got a breaking news story that the budget will not be presented at noon as earlier announced. We'll trying to get more information on that, if it will still be presented today or much later in the week, but no reason has been given for the change. The president was expected to present the 2017 budget to a joint sitting of the National Assembly. There's been a lot of controversy in some of the parameters as listed in that particular budget, and the Senate has before today spoken about how they're still trying to consider the 3-year plan to make sure that everything is as realistic as what we have on ground. But Business Morning continues in just a moment. We'll turn our attention to another segment of the economy, but still focusing on the 2017 budget. Stay with us.